Welcome to the MoxStars podcast. Welcome to the show. My name is Menace. And I'm here with Flash. I figured we'd chill it off today, cool things down a little, slow it down, and talk about some relevant news in the Magic world today. MagicCon in Amsterdam happened, and I'm sure you saw all of your social mediaites and stuff like that out there tweeting, taking tons of pictures, and maybe you knew someone lucky enough to go. But yeah, we're gonna back off today. How do you feel about that, Flash?
Feel great about it.
Nice, cooling down. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is the #1 podcast on the internet for Magic the Gathering and Dr. Pepper. And if you know anybody who works at Dr. Pepper in the marketing department, maybe the endorsement department, something like that, sponsorships and stuff, you give us a shout. Push this thing to the top. You can find us at YouTube, where if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see our homepage right here, where we have finally eclipsed 170 subscribers. We're at 171 right now. And for a couple days, we were sitting at 169, and all I could say when I was checking it was nice. And I just didn't want it. I didn't want it to move. So our next goal is to get it to 269, so that I can be back in that nice mentality. So all you guys out there, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more notifications. You can also find us on all major podcasting platforms, where we have been blowing up across the globe. Did you like that picture I sent you, Flash, where it just like, I don't know why, but that map just exploded. We're getting...
Yeah, what are you people doing? What is going on?
Just, do you love us? Is that what it is? Do you love what you're listening to? Because if you do, make sure you share this. Share the show and leave us a 5-star review on your podcasting platform of choice. It's super easy, and it makes us look super duper cool, and could potentially lead to like a Raising Cane's sponsorship at some point. Give us some chicken strips on camera. Chicken fingers. Sorry, Canes. It's chicken fingers. I know the difference. God, I hope they don't hold that against us.
I mean, just hook us up with the Caniac combo. Just like, you know what's in there.
God, the Texas toast. Just take me away. You can also support us directly on Patreon, where you can become an official Pepperhead for $3 a month. You can also, if you join and you become a Pepperhead and you're a part of the Discord server, your name will turn Dr. Pepper red. That's the biggest benefit of all. But you also get a free entry into our bi-weekly giveaways, which we will be doing at the end of the show today. And our prize pool today is a set of MoxStars tokens and 2 foil Moon Silver keys to go in tandem with your Kinnan deck that you might be building here in the near future, after we just covered it last week. If you missed that episode, make sure you get out there, check it out. You can also become a Cherry Vanilla Pepperhead, like UWP Quirt, K-Mr. K, Will Rule, and D-Mun82, and get 2 free entries into each of our bi-weekly giveaways. And I don't know if you knew this, but it's been a Cherry Vanilla Pepperhead for, I don't know, the last 3 giveaways is one. So it really does pay off at the end of the day. So make sure you check us out on Patreon. Show us some support there. It'd be lovely. And then, yeah, I think that's all of our plugs to get us started. I want to, I guess this is sort of like off the cuff, but I do want to talk about like the future of the show and the state of the show and where it's at, because we're feeling pretty good. We're feeling pretty good here. And the other day, I think I just took a sec and I realized that I'm absolutely dedicated to this game. Like, it consumes me from time to time, where I can't stop looking at content or looking at decks and thinking about cards and strategies. And that's when I realized that I'm not like content with the act of dreaming. I am content with the results of making my dreams come true. So I want to push this channel forward. I want to do everything that I can to make this a better show. If you're on YouTube, you can see I've added a slight moving graphic behind the show. I want to make this more digestible content as well. So if you guys have any feedback at all that can help us improve the show, or things that you're seeing that you're just like, hey, I wish you would do this sometimes, or like blah this, blah that, whatever. We're open books. We want to make this thing bigger. Because if we get to 1,000 subscribers and we can monetize the YouTube channel, Flash will appear on camera, and then we can change the visual setup on YouTube to be like dueling pianos with a card in the middle, and we can battle with like Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp, just like you can imagine the drama.
I did agree to that.
He did agree to it. That's why. I'm holding you accountable. But yeah. I mean, more than anything, we do this for fun, and we do this because we like doing it. So I think that to make this something that we can pursue more heavily, or pursue with more vigor, rather than just pursuing our everyday jobs. And, like, we're in the food industry. It can be a bit taxing, but it's, we're wanting to make the leap. So thank you all out there who've shown your support, who have subscribed, and who have supported us on Patreon directly. We love you. We thank you. Thank you for being Pepperheads. Thank you to the whole community. But we're looking forward to the growth of this channel and how, that all unfolds. All right. Any thoughts on that, Flash?
On growing the channel?
Yeah.
I think, and I've been ruminating on this for a while, and there's a lot going on here. And I think, yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we should do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel the same exact way.
Yeah, I put in all the research on it. Yes. We should expand the channel and grow it.
Love it. Because
although we should have a backup plan, which is just cratering it, doing the exact opposite, just blowing it up.
Right. Yeah. If I make fun of Talia Vess again on Instagram, we're gonna have to like.
Yeah. Maybe don't do that.
I didn't make fun of her, I guess, but we will have to self-destruct this show and start over. I've seen a lot of channels shoot themselves in the foot. I hate your deck. That show might as well be dead now. But it's we're not going to do that. We're not going to do stuff like that. That's dumb. We're not dumb. But yes. And once we get this thing rolling, we can get more tokens made. And if
hell yeah.
Yeah. And I've been thinking, and maybe y'all out there can help us out with that too. I think energy counters would be a really cool token to have. We need the Goblin Shaman from Fable the Mirror Breaker to get a token. Oh gosh, there are so many other things out there that need a Death Milk Designs token. But yeah, the events at MagicCon Amsterdam this weekend, you may have noticed that we were able to see some new cards. Quick, before we get into that, on the channel, or on the I'll put the links in the description below, But I did make updates because Modern Horizons 3 came out, and I'm a big Enchantress player. I did make updates to the Kestia, the Cultivator list, which is on screen now. But go out, check out the deck list online, and let me know what you think of the changes. We've obviously got Springheart and Antuco coming into the build, makes for go wide strategies, which the ultimate win con for this deck is Crater Hoof. But let me know what you think. I think, do I put Nadu in here? I don't know. Seems like a good card. I didn't put it in yet, but I might. But yeah, check out the list. Check out the list there, and then I'll put on another link for the list that I'm making. It's a primer. It's a CDH Naya Enchantress base, where you can basically take this shell. It doesn't matter what Naya commander you put in there, but this will give you a tempo and it's consistency based. Like in my experience, everything that I've played, this is a tempo shell that allows you to basically lock the game down and do what you need to do. So at the face, I just put anti-flash up here because I'm currently working on a CDH anti-flash build. But everything here as far as the instants, the artifacts, the enchantments, I'm still working on a more comprehensive list of enchantments that are just generically good for this type of strategy. But let me know what you think there as well. Check it out. Link in the description below. All right. MagicCon happened this past weekend, and with it, we learned of a new set. A set called Magic the Gathering Foundations. And, it's pretty great. There's a lot of little details on it. Flash, you were telling me before, and it looks like here in the article that it doesn't rotate until 2029?
Yeah, that's like 5 years away.
That's insane.
It's pretty. Yeah, that's a pretty long cycle, right?
Yeah, we were all lamenting at the 3-year standard rotation, but then they're like, what if we made it 5 years? So I guess here we are, and I guess and the purpose of this is, these are supposed to be cards that are base level, like beginner level cards that are going to be draftable, that are like going to help new players get in. And I think the idea for the set is beautiful. They've been putting in so much work to try to get like standard back on track, to get it up to its like pre-pandemic levels of participation for for players and stuff like that. It's been hard. Like honestly, standard for a long time was disgusting or just not interesting at all. They tried to address like everything by saying like, hey, I know that players don't like to spend a ton of money on cards and then have those cards basically drop in value because they rotated out and become useless. So they extended the window of time to make sure that your investment will last longer. And then now they're saying, well, we're going to give you a base layer, including Llanowar Elves. And there's a few other cards as well, like it's not Wrath of God, it's Day of Judgment. Basically the same exact card. But this whole set it's basically a core set. That's kind of...
Yeah. When was the last core set? 2021?
Yes. Yeah, that was the last official core set. It feels like the way, like how on cards that any effect is just like kicker, but named something else. This foundation set is basically a core set, but they've named it something else. And they've done this with products throughout the course of Magic's history, saying, from the vault, when they first brought that in, and then they switched it up and they're like, oh, this is a Commander Collection, green. Commander Collection, black. And they killed that product because it wasn't selling well enough. I wish they would have just completed the cycle. God. But, and then they went ahead and they're just like, well, we're just going to transition this to, or blend it and smash it together with Secret Lair. So that's what we're seeing now with Secret Lair is it's basically absorbed this Commander Collection, this From the Vaults stuff, and we're just getting packages now of cards that sort of like go together. There, in the last Secret Lair, there were a few packages that were basically an entire, like the foundation. See what I did there? Foundation for a commander deck. Like you got Prosh, you know, and then a bunch of different like sack outlets and cards that like instigate Prosh strategies. And maybe they even found an artist who has played Prosh before, but you know, it seems like the thought is put into that package. And then here with Foundations, they're just have rebranded the core sets, and are saying, you know, get at it, get out there, buy this set, because one, you can draft it, so there's something to be had there, and then two, it's not going to rotate for a very long time. So all these cards that you purchase will be relevant until at least 2029. And I don't see a world where Llanowar Elves isn't part of a competitive deck in Standard. Like, that's how good that card is. And it's a
very good card.
They said they were never going to print a 1-mana dork into Standard again, but I guess they have a way of like doubling back and readjusting and reassessing their previous statements. But yeah, Llanowar Elves after Dominaria created some pretty disgusting like green. Oh, that's right about the same time that green blue just started like popping off as like a huge value engine style of gameplay instead of being like that evolve style of gameplay from Ravnica. And I mean, we're even seeing it now, green blue being discussing strategies in multiple formats. Nadu looking right at you, because another thing that happened this past weekend was Nadu. Well, if any of you were kicking around the game when Modern Horizons first came out, the first set of Modern Horizons came out, there was a card called Hogak. And Hogak is like this. Let me see if I can find it quick. Hogak is a 7-mana, 5/2 Golgari that says it's an 8/8. You can't spend mana to cast this spell. It has Convoke and Delve, and you may cast Hogak from your graveyard, and it has Trample. So it's an 8/8 Trample. You can't spend mana to cast it, but you can exile cards and tap creatures to do it. Initially, this seemed fine. And as you can see on Scryfall, it is banned in Modern because it was a turn 2 8/8 Trample 90% of the time, as long as the deck was built right. So it was a problem. And they didn't see it in development. They didn't see that it could have become that. And I feel like that's the same exact thing that they're doing now with Nadu.
Well, I mean, didn't like the problem with Hogak was it combined like Bloodghast and then what's the green one? Vengevine? Is that right?
Yeah, and then it also, because it played Stitcher Supplier. Stitcher
Supplier. And like, you know, in testing they just didn't see all those cards like synergize together and see how busted it was. And then probably in testing Nadu, they forgot about a couple cards that don't really see play, you know?
Yeah, because now it's this past weekend there was an MXP, which is a modern, like part of the modern circuit, competitive modern circuit, and Nadu was like 10 of the top 16, and it didn't end up winning, but it was present enough, or maybe I don't know if it ended up winning or not. It was like that, and there was a mono black the Quest for Necropolis deck that was also making waves. So it seems like the rares and uncommons are having far more influence on the competitive scene than like the mythics are. I really, I'm a big fan of that Ocelot Pride deck, so I was hoping that would do it, but it didn't. But Nadu, obviously, we're starting to see it put up results in CDH. It has already climbed to 19. Last week, we talked about it being at like 34. And over 1 week of action, it has climbed to 19. And it has the highest conversion rate of any deck in anywhere near it. So you have to go down quite a ways. Let me see if I can find something higher than 30%. Oh, here we go. Halana, Kessig Ranger, and Timna the Weaver. It only has 13 entrants, and someone has converted with it 5 times. But obviously, Nadu, we'll give it another week and see where it's at. But it is going to continue to climb this list and be a problem until it is addressed. And I think that we're going to see Wizards of the Coast address it soon for Modern. I don't think it's an emergency to ban it, but it is becoming quite a big chunk of the meta. Maybe they try to ban something that instigates the strategy rather than just
I mean, didn't
Nadu.
Hogak, didn't they start with Bridge from Below?
Yeah. Yes. They tried to like get around some like supporting pieces, and that just people found a way, as Ian Malcolm has once said, life does.
People find a way.
Yeah. You have a strikingly similar voice to Jeff Goldblum when you want to. Like right there. You sounded just like him.
When I want to.
Yeah. Another thing about the we've been on this CDH train. There was a bit of a switch up. We were going to talk about Tivit this week. We're going to do that. We're not going to talk about Tivit this week or next week because RogSi has surpassed Tivit. So next week, when we do get back into our rotation of CDH breakdowns, we'll be talking about Rograk, Son of Roga, and Silas Ren, Seeker Adept, the partner combo that Hellbent is, it's one of those Hellbent win or lose type of decks. And not saying that, isn't that every deck? No, this one is just like, I'm going to win on turn 2 or I'm absolutely dying. So
just like a classic glass cannon.
Exactly. All right, back on track. Not only did Wizards of the Coast announce Magic the Gathering Foundations, we also got to see cards from the new set. A couple of new sets, Bloomburrow being the most relevant one. It's one we're going to see next. And so there are a few cards that came out, and just to like pique the interest a little. And we got these sweet alternate arts. There's a card called Overlord of the Hauntwoods and Enduring Tenacity. And Flash, have you seen these alternate arts?
Yeah. Have you? Well, which of the alternate arts do you want to talk about? Because there's like a new effect that's kind of cool. Kind of like when the oil slick stuff came out. Where it's like foiling plus additional exposure or something. Like, do you know what I'm talking about?
No, yeah, go ahead.
No, I don't have additional details. I mean, like, do you have information to fill this out?
No.
No, there's some sort of like every set there's some basically a new variant that they're coming up with. But this one, if I can, let me see if I can find it. It's super cool. It's in the fat packs or the gift boxes.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I have to see what it's actually called. Like you can see the Wandering Rescuer.
Yes.
Some of the variants, the black and white and red one. that I think is that effect. I'm just trying to see what
Oh,
they're actually calling it.
I think I know what you're talking about. You're talking about cards from Duskmourn, and I think I was actually also looking at cards from Duskmourn. So
Mhm.
that is the other
Yeah,
set
sorry,
that
sorry.
is also
Yeah.
coming out.
Oh,
Very
my bad. Yeah.
all good. It's that
What set were you talking about?
Bloomborough with bunnies and
Oh shit.
frogs.
Sorry.
There's bunnies and there's frogs and there's birds and there's badgers.
Oh
There's
yeah, I'm sorry, man.
everything.
This Bloomberg is just not on my radar.
Oh, do you know what really gets me with this set? And I hope that I'm not the only one. We're here at the MoxStars podcast. We're very rage. We rage against the machine pretty hard. And the thing, proxies rule, and go buy proxies right now until Wizards of the Coast sponsors us and pays us to say otherwise. We will stand on that hill. But Wizards of the Coast has been getting a lot of social media. Well, they've been pushing a lot of advertisements for Bloomborough, and I'm just gonna emulate for a second what that sounds like. So I can do it. I can do it. I don't like to do it because it pains me to watch it and it pains me to do it. So here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Hey, y'all. Here we are talking about Bloomborough. Have you ever wanted to get bunnies, otters, frogs, snakes, mice, and other things together on the battlefield at the same time? Well, this is the perfect set for you. That's kind of like that. Did you like that?
Those are the vibes. I
That is.
mean, you got to make stuff for everyone. Yeah, this one just doesn't hit for me. Is there relevant cards or anything that interest you from this?
Not that I've seen so far. Like we saw
Okay.
a few cards from Bloomborough get spoiled a couple months ago, with like the legendary mouse and a couple other things. But the cards that we saw at MagicCon again do this thing that sort of, and this was a set that I think a lot of people are excited for because it's feels like a very fresh idea. But then they go and reveal cards like Carrot Cake that completely pull me out. Like, I get this.
I'm gonna have to look at this card that you're speaking of. Carrot cake?
Yeah, it's a food, so it's an artifact, but it's 1 in a white. When it enters and you sacrifice it, create a 1/1 white rabbit creature token and scry 1. So a very relevant effect, but it's a piece of cake on a plate, and it's got carrots on it.
Yeah.
It
No,
just
yeah, this is very, very cutesy.
Yeah, what it does in this is the same thing they did with Outlaws of Thunder Junction is while these cards will be relevant in a competitive sense, maybe not this one, it's a common, but the overall atmosphere is it like I'm a big fan of immersion. We've talked about it plenty of times on the show. Immersive experiences are very important. This is again feels like another gimmick where they're taking this, like Magic used to be very serious in its tone or in its setting, and I get they want to like broadcast to a wider audience, to a wider demographic, but this like it breaks that like seriousness where there is a story happening. This just feels like I'm maybe watching like Winnie the Pooh, and they're just trying to figure out, or like I'm watching Over the Hedge. They need to, get food for the winter. So that's what they're doing. And that's the story behind the set. But we used to talk about like demons and dragons and wizards and stuff like that. And instead we're
Well, yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
No, it just is what it is, man. I mean, Duskmourn is also departing from the traditional Magic vibes by, importing it into modern times with modern technology and stuff in a not sort of like in a real world. It's in a real world horror setting essentially. From what we've seen,
Yeah.
like not in the way that say like Neon Kamigawa, you know, was
Yes.
a fantasy version of modern times, or like stuff like that. Like this, obviously there's fantasy elements to this, but like it's Magic, the IP is not what it used to be. Like it's just the culminating storyline with the Phyrexians. I think when that ended and they said Magic is going to change forever, there were some internal narrative things that they were talking about, but also it's kind of just like that is also the demarcation point between universes beyond just spiraling out of control, where it's just like you get more universes beyond stuff and more immersion breaking art treatments in secret layers than you do regular products or traditional products. And maybe the foundation set will be like, oh, classic Magic vibes. But the game now, it's not D&D based, it's not fantasy based, it's not any of that stuff. It's just anything. It's Fortniteified. It's Ready Player One. It's all that stuff. It's just everything exists all at once, and it's maybe Wizards meeting what the times are, like the zeitgeist, because that's what the culture is right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what the product has to be, because it's a product that's almost like Legos, where it's like they want Magic the Gathering to be for everyone, and there's a million ways you can slice and dice this product. We're just like Lego is a bunch of bricks that you can build with. Magic is a bunch of cardboard that you can play many different versions of a game with. And here's, whatever you're into, here's your version of it. That's just what it is.
Yeah, and I think regardless of what ends up being printed, it will be consumed. Like, it doesn't matter. Like this Bloomborough, even though we might feel that it's cutesy, it's gimmicky, it's something that we're not into, this is still a product that, regardless of that opinion, regardless of that thing, like,
Bro, we're not into it, but a huge segment of the community is.
exactly 90%, let's say,
Yeah.
like are very much excited. You can tell by the way that they're branding it, like via my example, they are pushing to be well, they're paying people to be excited about it so that you get excited about it. And like I will probably still go to a pre-release, like to see what it's about, because I'm more like, regardless of how I may feel about cute things, if they make here's something, if they make a Peeps secret lair, I would buy the hell out of that.
Oh my God. Yeah, of course.
Like, that's cute. Like, I'm into that. And Willie would probably send me some. I'd be even more excited. But I'm still going to go to a pre-release, and I'm still going to wrap my head around the strategies and the complexity of the cards, so that I have a better understanding of the game, so that we can continue to speak on it with some level of authority. Because if we didn't, like I said, my mind is wrapped around this game most of the day, like pretty much all the time, type thing. So when these spoilers are cracked for me, I love seeing this type of stuff. And even DUSKMOURN, as we roll into DUSKMOURN, Bloomborough, cool, cute. We're going to see what that does. Carrot Cake, I hate it, but it's part of the game now. DUSKMOURN comes into play. And like you said, it's a modern take on, like, they're starting to include technology that we are familiar with in our own world. Where before they hadn't really done that, but now we see televisions, we see chainsaws, and there are references to movies in here. So basically, the story behind DUSKMOURN is that a demon was trapped inside of a house, and so what that demon did was it expanded the house until it consumed the entire plane so that it could travel freely, so it could like move freely about the world. So the plane is set in a giant horror, like house of horror, and that's it. It's perfectly represented here in the cards that were spoiled. We have a new mythic. It's called Screaming Nemesis for 2 and a red, a 3/3 with haste that whenever Screaming Nemesis is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to any other target. If a player is dealt damage this way, they can't gain life for the rest of the game. That is also on, I can't remember what other card that is, but Mythic Spoiler is going to have my back, maybe? Nope. I can't remember what it is, but they had a card back in the day that had the same thing. It was 2 red mana, and it said if it dealt combat damage to a player, they couldn't gain life for the rest of the game. Stigma Lasher, if I'm remembering right off the top of my head. But yeah.
That sounds like something. Yeah.
Yeah, so if it's a 3/3 with haste that if you want to block it, you're not going to gain life for the rest of the game. If you are not in a life gain build, this is probably relevant. Otherwise, you're going to get punched over and over again mercilessly by this thing. There's a new card that they definitely do not want you to splash any other colors other than black. It's called Doomsday Excruciator. It's a 6 black pipped demon. 6/6 with flying. When it enters, if it was cast, each player exiles all but the bottom 6 cards of their library face down. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card. So, a doomsday for everybody is the way it looks.
Only costs you 6 black mana.
Only 2 dark rituals, and you can have a doomsday for you and your opponent. And then there's some other things relevantly. There's the Wandering Emperor, but now is the Wandering Rescuer has lost their spark and are now stuck in this House of Horrors. And for 3 and 2 white, you get a Human Samurai Noble with Flash, Convoke. It's a 3/4 double strike that says other tapped creatures you control have hexproof. So it's very aggressive in its stance, where you can flash this in when someone tries to use an Iganjo or tries to Otawara something, or I guess when they try to like destroy a creature that's attacking, or on their turn try to do something, whatever. Creatures that have attacked or have tapped for mana or whatever, Wandering Rescuer likes those creatures in particular. Seems like a cool card. The double strike is a lot, so we'll see. I feel like they could have left the double strike off and just given it first strike, but the artwork has 2 swords, so here we are. There's also the card that I was referencing, which, if any of you have ever watched The Ring, will understand this reference, but it's Cursed Recording. Flash, have you ever watched The Ring?
I have. I've also seen the Japanese original.
Ooh, I didn't know there's a Japanese original.
Ringo.
Okay, I guess I have something to put on my watch list.
It's also isn't The Ring the American one set in Seattle?
I
believe it is.
Well,
and there's a scene where the horse runs off the back of the ferry and stuff like that.
It's all coming back. Why is it set in Seattle? I never even made the connection. Now I'm a little superstitious. I'm going to be honest. I might not watch it.
I mean, you should watch it. I'm pretty sure it's set in Seattle, if I recall correctly.
That sucks. Because now I'm going to be scared of that. But I don't have a VHS player. But this House of Horrors does. Do you have Cursed Recording in front of you? Do you want to read that one?
I don't.
Oh, I got you. No worries. It's 2 and 2 red. Artifact, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a time counter on cursed recording. Then if there are 7 or more time counters on it, remove those counters and it deals 20 damage to you. You can tap it when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell. Copy that spell. You may choose new targets for the copy. The reference is, you have 7 days, and so 7 instants or sorceries later in the cursed recording will come eat you. There's a couple other cards here that I think this is the set that I would be, as far as like mechanically, I'm far more interested in. I
have a question actually. What is a scheme? Have they said what a scheme is yet?
No, where are you seeing the scheme?
I will savor your agony and time bends to my will. And the relevant text is when you set this scheme in motion. They seem like conspiracies, maybe, or something. But I have no idea. I have no other additional information besides that this exists. This new card type.
Oh gosh. What's the site that you use to find these cards?
I'm looking at Magic Spoiler.
Magic Spoiler, that's right. Oh wow. Oh wow. Here we go, more cards. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's Twitching Doll. Yeah, Scheme here. Maybe it's an arch enemy card. Because they are going to do an... Oh wait, it's definitely got the Bloomburrow set. When you set this scheme in motion, choose 3. You may choose the same mode more than once. More mechanically unique outside the game type stuff. Yeah, okay. But yeah, this is a set that now I didn't know that was a part of the thing, but now I'm even a little bit more excited than I was prior. There are, I didn't even see Leyline of Hope. There's ley lines in the set. You absolutely love to see it. It's, if you gain life, you gain that much +1 instead. As long as you have at least 7 or more life than your starting total, you creatures you control get +2/+2. Wow. Let's go. All right. I'm in. Now I'm in. I was saying that I was in before, but I'm ready to cannonball into this set. I love the enchantment creatures. I love the chainsaw. I love a fear of missing out. We're getting a Collected Company reprint, not in the set, but in the special guests. Oh, and the lands. Oh, look at these lands. Oh, my God. And Twitching Doll. Twitching Doll's a really cool card. A Mana Dork spider toy. But yeah, this is the set that I'm most excited for. And a lot of people might be creeped out by it. I don't care. I'm in. I'm ready to go. Any further?
That just demonstrates what we were saying with the Bloomburrow not hitting, but the product is for someone else. Like, this is the product that's for you. Maybe some of those cutesy Bloomburrow people don't fuck with DUSKMOURN, and just is what it is. Like, it's got to hit. Magic the Gathering is a product that has to hit every sector.
Yeah. Yep. I guess horror does it for me. Anyway, any final thoughts on DUSKMOURN or Bloomburrow?
Nah, man.
All right. I'm pretty sure that because I'm tapped out on these. There is one more thing to cover from Amsterdam that is relevant to speak on. Maybe there's not a whole lot of conversation here. Maybe if you know more about this, you can lend us some insight. But Wizards of the Coast held, and I can't find the article on Reddit, but there was a few people out there who were reporting that they were able to compete in a single elimination EDH tournament that was officially sponsored or hosted by Wizards of the Coast at MagicCon Amsterdam. And the prize was a uncut sheet of Modern Horizons 3 variants in foil. So a prize that is worth potentially a couple $1,000. It was a $65 entry, and you were given a pre-con to compete with. So they are trying to like level the playing field, and the thing is, you don't get to choose your pre-con, and this was like part of the when I was reading the post, part of the community's disdain with this event was that since MagicCon was very Modern Horizons 3 focused, the thought was that when you signed up for $65, you would get a Modern Horizons 3 pre-con, and that way everyone would have the similar scope of power. But apparently it was random between decks from 2017 to decks to like, I don't know, Midnight Hunt. So a very wide range of power that, depending on your luck, you may have been dealt a really shitty hand. So this person who won it posted their prize, talked about the tournament a little bit, and had talked about like those pre-cons and the chances of it. I think somebody got a Savine deck, with a dockside in it, so they got their value back, but they lost. Like, that deck sucked, and they did not end up winning the tournament. But and they didn't say what deck they actually played with that they won with, so more mystery to unfold. But I think the important thing is that while there were previous efforts by Wizards of the Coast to work in tandem with some TOs to officially host CDH tournaments, they are internally trying to figure out the best way to turn Commander into a competitive format. And this feels like the first, if it's happened before, like, it's definitely flown under the radar. But now I think it's going to garner a little bit more attention when the prize is a multiple thousands of dollar uncut sheet of, the most recent set. Like, those things are collectors like those. Once they get framed and everything, they're preserved. That collectors go crazy for that kind of thing. So what do you think, Flash? Do you think you would sit and participate in one of these things if it was set up in that format where you just sort of like
just like pre-cons?
Yeah, pre-cons. It's random. You don't get to choose.
I mean, was there any sort of pre-selection so that pre-cons did kind of end up the same power level?
No, that's kind of like the...
Yeah, I mean, because like the power level and if the precons are actually any good, right? So it would need to be like pretty matched up. Like if it was like themed, like it was like, hey, we got all these Doctor Who precons or Fallout precons or the Warhammer precons, and they're going head to head, and it's like that, then maybe I think.
Yeah,
if it's just
designed
purely luck of the draw, then that is not of interest to me.
Right. And that's kind of the way it seems that it was, because if it was all Modern Horizons 3 decks, those are all decks that are designed to play with one another. That's kind of like, they're all similar in scope, similar in power, and you definitely get some new cards and you get some value, like things that are like fresh and exciting. But imagine going to this thing and someone gets dealt, I don't know, the Party Time deck, and then we've got a Chonky on screen. And then someone gets dealt the Party Time deck, which we consider to be one of the best ever designed. And then Chonky stepping on the soundboard. But then then someone else gets dealt the Savine deck, and they're just at a massive disadvantage for spending the same amount of money for basically signing up for the same exact thing, with the understanding that they would get a chance to compete, and then their hopes are immediately dashed based on some sort of like randomized selection process. So I guess in a way you could random, what would probably be the best way to do it is if you were going to do it random in any way, you have a massive table with the number of decks required to host the event. And then like they're all from varying degrees. And then randomly they select person after person after person, and they come up and they draft their deck. Like they pick one and they say, I will play this one today.
I mean, I think it's a cool idea, and there's any type of refinement would improve it.
Yes. Yeah. But yeah, it does seem like they're testing the waters. It's something to look into the next time you go to MagicCon, which I believe the next MagicCon is Vegas, correct? It's coming up.
Potentially.
I think it's got to be. Yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah. Which we'll be at. We'll be there. So if you are interested in going to a MagicCon, you can visit. You can see us. You can visit with us at MagicCon in Vegas, where we'll have a little red flyer filled with Dr. Pepper. Any further thoughts on this single elimination EDH tournament, which is potentially exciting / problematic / I don't know.
No, I mean, listen, it's a cool idea. I think setting precons against each other, especially if there is some amount of refinement towards what the precons contain, or not what the precons contain, what the precons, making sure they relatively match up in power level, or some sort of refinement to it. I think it's an interesting idea.
Yeah, it is interesting. It is one thing that Wizards of the Coast has come out and said this is a casual format, that it's social gathering. It's meant to be fun. And then to put any competitive intention behind it at all, to put a prize up for it completely doubles back on that intention and says, well, people are going to win. They're going to win at all costs. Like, you now need official judges. You now need people who can come through and manage these social situations, or people who are under different expectations. I guess that was my thought on it, was just like, wow, this is sort of a feels like a loaded event where you might sign up because you like Commander, and you are excited at the prospect of getting a random deck and playing it all day, which again, this is an event that happens. You're burning an entire day at MagicCon to do this event. Because if you've ever been to a CDH tournament, or if you've ever been competed at any tournament at all, you know that it starts at around 10 a.m. or whatever, and by the time the sun goes down, the final match is playing. So if you make it that far, I guess it's worth it. At the end of the day, if you make it to the final table and you get that prize, your sanity will have been tested and you will have been rewarded. But that's the thing, is they very much want this to be an all-inclusive type of format, and then once you put some sort of prize involved, you start to see the worst in people socially. They're very rules oriented in that way, and that's I've been playing Pioneer a lot lately, and I actually enjoy that aspect where it's just like, hey, 1v1, we're gonna play to our outs, and we're gonna see who comes up with it, best of 3. And that's kind of the way that you have to enter these tournaments, under that impression. So I hope there aren't people with different expectations who are getting involved and getting, filing complaints that ultimately upend this process, this growth for EDH or CEDH at the Wizards of the Coast level. But it's exciting nonetheless. We're gonna move on. We're going to move on from that on the final note of it being an exciting development that we'll look forward to seeing how it plays out in the future. The final thing that we have to do today is pick a winner for our giveaway this week, which It's a set of tokens and the 2 foil Moonsilver keys. And got to remove one here. And we have our list of patrons here. I didn't give an option for people to be able to sign up for this one. I just wanted to reward the patrons here. So here we are. Oh, got to remove one more. I'm going to shuffle it live on camera so you all know that I'm not showing any level of preference towards Kunai 08, towards Will Rule, because he's won multiple times, and I just we're going to shuffle it 3 times for the safety. And here we go. We're spinning the wheel. Ooh. And it's Magus of the Jank! Congratulations, Magus of the Jank. You have won yourself a set of MoxStars tokens and 2 foil Moonsilver keys, valued at about $7 a piece. So I will be reaching out soon to make sure you get your prizes. And thank you so much for supporting the show. Thank you to everybody who has been a patron so far and has participated in this process. So, so glad that it wasn't Will Rule this time. That just brings me joy.
Next time, next giveaway, he'll be back.
Yeah, with a vengeance. All right, so this has been the MoxStars podcast. Thank you all for listening and staying tuned. If you are here at the end of the show and you are not subscribed, what are you doing? Get yourself a Dr. Pepper, crack it open, and hit that subscribe button. You can also find us on all major podcasting platforms where you can subscribe to us there as well and leave us a 5-star review. Super duper easy to make us look super duper cool. You can support us directly on Patreon, like Magus of the Jank. And like so we have our $3 supporting tier, which is becoming an official Pepperhead, where your name will turn Dr. Pepper red on the Discord server, and you will get 1 free entry into all of our bi-weekly giveaways. You can also become a Cherry Vanilla Pepperhead, like UWP Quirt, K Mr. K, Will Rule, and Demon82. I think that's a wrap. This has been a wonderful episode. I think we talked about quite a bit. We're all very excited about these upcoming sets and how they play out. But next week we'll get right back on track and we'll be reviewing RogSi as now the number 4 deck on EDH Top 16. Let's get the heck out of here, Flash.
Okay.
All right. Peace.
Bye.